I remember he said to me, it'll take a good sort of 6 months before you see a lead or something like that come through. It took a week. You just move overseas and then you can sell your Bitcoin or XRP. Don't pay any tax. It's like, well, no, we've got rules about that.
They plan on selling when they're in international waters and then coming back to Australia.
I like that one. That's a good one. They're like pirates.
Bitcoin or Ethereum. Welcome to episode 3 of the On-Chain podcast, brought to you by Tax On-Chain, a crypto specialist accounting firm, and Mortgage On-Chain, mortgage broking designed for crypto investors. Today, Raf and I are joined by a very special guest. He is one of Australia's leading crypto tax lawyers, founder of Cadena Legal, and part-time internet celebrity. That is, of course, Mr. Harrison Dell.
Thank you, Ollie.
Welcome, Harry.
Good to be here.
You're the first tax lawyer we've had on the pod.
Well,
it's only 3 episodes in though. But
it's a short list of crypto tax lawyers, no doubt. So, but no, thank you for having me on. Pretty early in the piece. It's episode 3, isn't it?
Yeah. You were actually the first tax lawyer, or actually crypto lawyer we ever spoke to.
Yeah.
Ever. Do you remember? Do you remember?
I remember. I just saw Tax On-Chain pop up on LinkedIn, and I was like, "Who are these boys?"
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just been good ever since. And then I moved to Brisbane, which probably helped.
Yeah.
Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, I do. I was looking at the website and I was like, how don't I know these boys?
Yeah.
Like they just popped, like it was like a week after you started. I was like, Tax On-Chain? I do tax on-chain sort of.
I remember we Tax On-Chain was still a part-time gig for us at that stage, just a side hustle. And so we were working full-time at our old accounting firm. So we took that call on our lunch break in the boardroom, and you were working from home, and I think you had a cat on your shoulder during the call.
Yeah, I would have. That cat does appear in my podcast content and others. The orange cat.
I can't remember what color it was now.
I think it was the orange cat, because sometimes he's just like up in your grills, and in recent times, he's just really loud. So there's a microphone here and you can hear him. I have to throw him out of the room. Had stood on a podcast once, like a recorded one. And I was like, sorry, we're going to have to cut this bit. I had to throw the freaking cat out of the room. So
Too clingy.
Yeah, bit clingy. Yeah.
But back then you were still yet to go out on your own. But I think you were starting to build a bit of a crypto client base.
So that would have been 2021.
Yeah, almost 5 years ago.
Yeah, so that's before I started the firm. That's when I was working at another firm. And crypto was very much a niche. Mm-hmm. Very, very niche. Because you guys probably had the same thought as it's cool to do everything. Like, let's service everybody. We'll get more clients that way. But it kind of doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. You guys are very specialist and very few competitors. So you can really smash it. And it's the same for me. I think that's the biggest professional service lesson I've ever had, is just do 1 or 2 things, do them really well.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest lesson. Well, one of the biggest reasons for our success is we found a niche that we could be, experts in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we were to have just started a generalist accounting firm, we would have been competing against thousands of other accounting firms.
Thousands and the big firms and people who've done it for years. But there's I've sent a lot of clients to you guys, and there's this sort of shift where they're like, I've used, Joe Blow accountant before, and now I've got a crap load of Bitcoin or whatever, and they just don't get it. And then I'm like, well, you can get your crypto bookkeeping done, but your accountant's not going to be comfortable no matter what you do. If they haven't got the skills for it, you're going to have to change. And they're like, yeah, fair enough. They pretty quickly get frustrated by their professional if they don't know what they're talking about. So you guys have got all that other general experience and that specific experience. You bring it to the table and you can get all those clients, and that's what you've done.
Yeah.
So would you say if it wasn't for crypto, would you have started Cadena, or was having your own law firm always the goal?
Well, the goal for lawyers, the usual path for lawyers is, you work hard, you get clients, you be a partner. I left a firm, which was a great firm. My boss then, Tony, I said to him, I'm leaving. I'm going to go, I want to start a book of clients. And he said, but you've never done it before. And I was like, bro, how hard could it be? Like, meet with people and they like you and stuff. And I was right about that. But it does take time. So I was always on the path of build a book of clients. Tax lawyers, I think tax lawyers don't really mind if I say this, but they're usually a little bit weird, and I'm a little bit more personable, probably because I accidentally became a tax lawyer. But I left and, was doing the traditional stuff for a while. And then I was at a firm, and another fellow called James, he's quite prominent on social media, James Dapperchi, and he was like, "You'd be good on social media." And I was like, got nothing else to do. So I started making some TikToks, and I remember he said to me, "Oh, it'll take a good sort of 6 months before you see a lead or something like that come through." It took a week.
Yeah.
And I had this bloke who had a crap load of Silicon Valley equity in some very specific company worth like 10, 20 million bucks. And the funny thing is he didn't actually sign on at that point, but I told him, like, you should probably do this stuff now, bite the bullet. And he didn't. And then he's come back, years later, and he's like, "I should have done that." So that was good. But like, it really snowballed from there. It does help being a micro/niche internet celebrity.
What's the streaming platform you're also on? Like,
I streamed on TikTok.
I was always on TikTok.
Yeah, because I actually couldn't work out like Twitch and stuff. I think I'm getting to the age where I just can't learn new technology, which is, someone once called me a DeFi boomer, and that hit me really hard. Like, that was in NFT season, and there were these kids making
some 15-year-old.
Yeah, like I think this guy was 17 or 18, and he said I'm a DeFi boomer, and I was like, "Holy shit, man!" Like, I think I am. I actually think he got me.
Did the streaming start before, like while you were at your old law firm before you started Cadena?
No, it was after I started Cadena. So, started that 2022, mostly because I was frustrated doing all the work and, not really getting the benefits of it. So I left. I did, TikTok, I sort of ramped up a bit more, and I streamed myself starting, playing, and finishing Elden Ring, and became an Elden Lord.
And while you were streaming, you were like answering tax questions.
Yeah, people would ask me questions.
Yeah,
it was sort of distracting, and it would get me killed in those boss fights. But it was probably like 30 or 40 hours that I did across probably a couple of months.
Yeah,
and we I don't know, like I had a lot of people come through. I remember I had one guy. He's a good friend of mine now, and he wrote in there. He's like, "Oh, I've got a question about racehorse taxation," and I was like, "Mate, if you've got a question about racehorse taxation, you can book a fucking appointment." And he did. And he's a great bloke. Lives in Sydney, and I've had all sorts of people come through. I think what people don't really respect is even the big CEOs doom scroll on TikTok.
Yeah.
Even wealthy people do it. It's not just kids on there. It's not just people who don't have anything going on. Like, everybody's on this thing. That's why it's such a successful platform.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've had people that I never expected have said, "Oh, you're that tax guy on TikTok." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's me." And it's got me heaps of clients just from like the reputational flywheel, because there's no other tax lawyer on TikTok that I've seen yet. Some accountants.
Yeah, there's a lot of accounting. There's a lot of accountants on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff.
Yeah. But they go down the general route of, here's when your BAS is due. And it's like, like it's the very niche stuff. Like, again, the niche stuff is what will work for you.
We always thought, like, when, telling people when their BAS is due or that their tax return due date's 15th of May, like, what's the point of telling people that? But
You're not
turns
adding
out,
any value.
Yeah, but it turns out like there's a lot of people who just have no idea.
Yeah.
And just those basics that we sort of take for granted and think that like just a known is actually really valuable information to anyone. Everyone's got to pay tax. So the addressable market is huge.
Maybe they do. That's my job. Anyway.
What sort of content resonates the best with the online audience?
Well, there was two, like, it was a lot of crypto content.
Yeah.
Because that was the questions I was being asked. Like, I did crypto years ago when I was at the tax office, did some stuff there, and that was cool. But then it was really just natural people ask those questions. But now it's very different questions. It's now a lot of international tax stuff. People want to move overseas. people want to, set up an offshore company, which doesn't work just by itself. It can only work in very specific factual context. But that's sort of been the vertical that's grown a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of sits on side of the crypto side, because most of those businesses and people involved in them have a lot of offshore and international stuff they have to do, whether they're going to move or they're structuring, because you don't structure global businesses from an Australian company. You just don't.
And why is that?
Because we charge a lot of tax. It's just not feasible. So, Australia is like a subsidiary hanging off to the side.
Yeah.
But on the other side, Australia is like the tax police of the world. So, Project Wickenby, all the OECD stuff, we love it. We just do it. We go the extra mile, which creates some problems. But Australia is very intense on hitting tax evasion, tax avoidance on their head, which does stifle, investment in the country and innovation. So a lot of those big corporates are just, they're structured out of Singapore and Dubai and Ireland and anything else, just not Australia. And I don't blame them.
Well, we'll probably talk a bit more about international structures a little later on in the episode. But sort of how did you find yourself working in the crypto space to begin with?
Just like I found myself working as a tax lawyer, which was by accident. So it just became what people asked me about quite a lot. And I remember my first client, he was actually a lawyer, and he'd made quite a bit of money on various stuff, so much so that he couldn't really focus on his work, and he got fired from his law firm, but he was worth like 6-7 mil. So I kind of,
who cares?
Kind of don't blame him, yeah. And, wanted to do some structuring stuff. And I said, mate, look, here's a fixed fee and I'll figure it out. And if I don't, I'll just give you the money back. And he's like, all right. So we just went in and we solved a problem and learned some stuff and figured there's probably a bit of a niche here. If this guy's asking it, there's a few like him. And I think I was right.
So were you into crypto before you started advising on crypto, or was it you learnt crypto because you were getting people hitting you up who had these crypto matters, and you're like, oh, maybe I should understand what this is all about? Or were you already buying crypto before that interaction?
I was doing a little bit, speculative asset, but I didn't invest significantly in Bitcoin or Ether or anything like that. It was very much from a professional sense, I should take this more seriously,
right? Because
we've got a lot of stuff coming through.
Yeah.
And in the early days of advising on, these are tokens I've never heard of, and layer ones I've never heard of. And I tried to do some sort of stuff with this guy, and he was like, this doesn't quite make sense. And I was like, okay. So I went, I'm going to have to just go away and use this stuff, or I'm not going to understand it. And that's actually what I say to all my staff is, you're not going to understand what the product is, the product's being there, the token or whatever, unless you try and use it, unless you at least have that. How does a wallet work? How do I use a smart contract? How am I going to stuff it up? What does a scam look like? What are those tax trigger events? Sort of flows all the way from that, where it gets, a bit weird. But it was seriously spending time and research doing stuff. That was the only reason I sort of was able to unlock a whole lot more in this journey.
Yeah, having that hands-on experience makes a massive difference, and your clients can tell when you're trying to bullshit your way through something. Especially
that first guy,
especially the crypto crowd.
Yeah, that first guy could tell. And I was just like, mate, let me just go away and lose some money, and I'll come back. And I did. And but that meant I could actually solve it for him. If I didn't do that, I would have just been chasing my tail still.
We still get people questioning, the crypto crowd. Often in our first interaction with them, they don't know that we've been crypto investors ourselves since 2017, and they sort of sometimes assume that we're just new to the space. But yeah, we get questioned all the time as to do you know how this works? And it's like, I do. Yeah. I was here before you. Yeah. but it's
so funny, isn't it?
If you don't know your stuff, they'll catch you.
Oh yeah.
And they would have, before they speak to us, sometimes they've spoken to their existing accountant, maybe their friend's accountant.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're the third person they speak to. So they've had a poor experience, and they just assume it's going to be
The same.
a similar experience. But
Yeah.
I assume it's the same with lawyers and people looking for a crypto savvy lawyer.
Yeah, like probably 50-50.
Yeah.
So we often get, quite sophisticated clients. They come from you guys or sort of other referral sources where they've been through something before they come to us. But I did get one recently, and the guy wasn't sure that I knew anything, and he was like, "Oh, so I buy these tokens, and then they go up, and then I sort of sell them, and I do it like there's a lot of different tokens, and it's on Solana." And I was like, "Okay, we're pumping shitcoins," and he's just like, "Yeah, that's what we're doing." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, understand it." But like he was sort of surprised, but
right, yeah,
he didn't have that sort of social media connection with me that a lot of people have. But when they come through the website, like they're never quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do get a couple of those funny ones where they're like, "So here is the Ethereum token," and I'm like, "You mean Ether?" And they're like,
"Whoa,
this guy's read a thing." Yeah, that does still happen.
Yeah. And like in the early days, was it 100% crypto clients?
Probably was about 80-90%.
Yeah,
crypto adjacent.
And back then it was DeFi season, but also NFT season. So I remember you sending us a few clients during that time, and they were like 19-year-old millionaires.
Yeah.
Or they had $1 million like NFT portfolio.
Yeah. I wonder how that's going.
Yeah, I often think back at those people because, we had that consultation with them. We would have structured them up, and then the NFT market just collapsed.
Yeah,
and we sort of never heard of them again.
Yeah,
there's a few instances like that just they didn't survive.
Like most of them don't survive.
Yeah,
is what I would say. Like, we do our best to keep their taxes efficient and structure them correctly. But I also sort of tell them, like, you can't be 100% in one thing. That's just never going to be a good financial strategy. More often than not, you're going to lose 1 in 100 or maybe even 1 in 10. Pick the right asset. They bought Bitcoin in 2012. Like, good on you. And they never sold. But most people just don't have the balls to do that. They would have seen themselves up 100, 200%, sold it. And hindsight's 2020. A lot of these people go, "Oh, I should have sold." But it's like you've got to just have your head screwed on right, and not be 100% all in on one asset unless you're willing to bet your whole financial future on it. And that's not normally a bet I would recommend to people.
Yeah, a lot of the NFT people they took screenshots, not profits.
Yeah.
Right click save. I used to say that to them. They used to hate it. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, captured your NFT. But and then there was like the ohm forks, and there was the strong nodes. And
that was fun.
I remember having a few phone call. We had a video call. And we still remember it. It was with this. She was working part time, but had just recently gone. Just quit her job.
Yeah.
Because she was making $1,000 a day on these strong nodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it was like a free money hack. I remember they're like, you buy one, I think it was like 10 grand.
Was it 10 grand, and you get
like $100 a day per node or something. And they're like, and it really gave Ponzi scheme vibes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't entirely, but strong is down pretty bad.
Yeah, I think she had to get a job back, unfortunately.
Damn.
But
I'm sure you probably heard saw a lot of crazy stories back then as well.
Oh yeah,
DeFi and NFTs were a wild time back in 2021.
It was fun. NFTs I didn't like. I was like, this is stupid. At the time, I'm like, this is so dumb.
It's monkey big. It's cute.
Yeah, but like DeFi was like, okay, we're creating. Essentially, it's built on top of debt. It's hyper efficient debt, and that does have some value in the financial ecosystem. Is it going to be all we use in the future? Probably not. But the PFP NFT phase was obviously ridiculous, and everybody who's sort of still in the space kind of always knew that as well. Because if you're just NFTs, like, you're gone now. NFTs aren't cool.
Well, they were the meme coins back then.
Yeah,
they were meme coins before we had meme coins.
They were the pre-meme coins. Yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. So what was the funny story you're about to tell?
I forgot, mate.
Well, we would have had. I think that we jumped on a few calls, and at that time as well, there was just so much hope to be that millionaire and to have that idea. Like the amount of people we spoke to who wanted to launch their own global stablecoin.
There were a lot of those.
Like pretty good idea. Like, the concept of stablecoin, great idea. It's got merit to it, but to pull off that idea would have cost multi-millions of dollars worth of marketing, legals, just like
and people, then you've got to have the skills. You've got to be the right people to do it.
Yeah. But it was just like, I'm launching my stablecoin, and it's like it's just like, well, you can't even afford the structure fee, just to begin with. But
like now, it's a very high risk product to be launching a stablecoin anywhere. You need to shore it up. The training wheels are off. Serious regulation. You've got to seriously upset ASIC at certain things. I remember that story though. It's not a funny story. It's like a bit of a sad story. But strong node stuff, staking. He was making all this income. And I said to him, I said, you've got to be selling enough of it and putting it away to cover your tax.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if it goes down, I'll just claim it as a loss. I'm like, well, no, because that's a capital asset.
Yep.
And he did end up in a position where he had, 7-figure tax bill. Portfolio was worth less than the tax bill.
Mm.
I'm sure you guys have seen that too.
Yeah, the whole staking rewards, but not selling enough staking rewards.
Yeah.
Most staking rewards go to zero at some point, most of them.
Yeah.
But you're left, even if they sell it, they're just left with a capital loss.
That's right. And it's a killer. Like this guy went bankrupt, I think.
Yeah.
But, I was literally talking him off a ledge. He was like, I've ruined my financial future. And I was like, mate, go bankrupt for 3 years. Don't worry about it. And like, it was dumb. Yeah. But now you won't do it again, at least.
Mm. Or they can just run it back.
Yeah. Yeah, because, they had this tax bill and they're like, I can't pay it.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no leniency. There's no like, oh, Mr. Commissioner, can you just write it down a bit? That's what bankruptcy processes are for.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's why I would say, obviously, we're one of maybe 3 crypto accounting firms. And there's probably more crypto accountants out there that just like a one-man team sort of thing. But there's only so many crypto. What's the stat? It's like 30% of Australians own crypto.
Yeah.
So that's millions of people. I'm sure we can only take so many clients, at once. And there's only say like 3 or 4 of us. There'd be millions of crypto investors who, well, they're either self-lodging correctly, but there'd be a heap that are just not reporting thing.
You would still get people who are like, I didn't sell it, so it's not taxed. And you're like, not quite, man. But and they get a bit of a rude shock. Like I get like at least one a month now. It used to be like one a week, a few years ago.
As in, like they come to you and be like, I haven't lodged for the last 5 years.
Yeah, but they're like, but I haven't sold anything.
Yeah,
I've just been staking it and
like sold for Aussie dollars.
They haven't sold for dollars. Yeah, that's what I mean. They go, I've just swapped it. And I'm like, mate, if I swap my house for another house, that's still like capital gain.
Yeah.
And they're like, but you haven't taken it out. I was like, well, if that was the view, then the Australian government would be saying, well, that's a preferred asset because you can just swap asset for asset. Like other stuff you kind of can't do. Like shares you've got to sell and buy the next parcel.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just go on and swap them. There's not liquidity for all these different, BHP shares, CBA shares. It's all market mated on like essentially AUD pairs or USD pairs. And it's kind of a unique asset. You can just keep it in the ecosystem, swapping ETH to whatever else. And if it was true that you didn't pay tax on it until you pulled it out, it would make it like, if I was an investor and I can defer tax indefinitely by using this other asset class, then man, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So
for the speculative mania that was 2021 with DeFi and NFTs, that sort of passed. So what does your crypto client base look like now compared to back then?
It's a lot more sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll sort of put it in the institutions business pile and the investor pile. We get the odd sort of very passive investor who bought X and it sits there for a long time and they make lots of money and that's fine. You guys got a lot of those guys too. We've worked on lots together. But then there's this whole other sort of breed and they're, doing billions of dollars of prop trading with, maybe $1 million of assets. and they're making serious money doing it. And that's a much more sophisticated exercise than, making ape NFTs like it used to be, the regular client that came through. Now it's people, actually, whether it's trading or creating a way to make actual money, it's a lot more common. And that's that sort of, retail, individual, sophisticated investor sort of bucket. And the other bucket is you've got DeFi products and you've got, stable coins, you've got all sorts of other things, and they're not completely full of shit because they kind of used to be like most of them. And a lot of those projects are dead because they were sort of full of shit. And I kind of knew that at the time. Like, this thing's probably not going to last.
Just the next clam yield farm or...
Yeah. And some of them made money and some of them didn't. And some of them are still going. But they've, generally pivoted to all sorts of things. But we're now getting less of those silly projects and more of these more mature projects. And they're really focused on the like hyper financialization of the space. So really efficient debt, staking, DeFi looping, which is only a relatively new thing in the last sort of few years. That's become popular. Years ago, you could do it, but nobody was really doing it because the risk was too high. But we've got more sophisticated strategies, but it's all built on the same thing, which is basically debt. But debt makes the world go around anyway. So it's not like every other industry is different. But this sort of tells me that we're getting there.
Like the space is maturing.
Yeah. It's not just silly meme coins and such, but there are a lot more people, sophisticated, creating value, whether it's by debt and lending, fitting, a liquidity issue, and they make money doing it. But there are also very, very intelligent people doing it. So you can't really go into it as a a casual and make free money. You've got risk even if you're only getting 3% yield. You've still got risk doing all these things.
So would you say your client base now is like fewer for the crypto side of things, fewer crypto clients per client? I guess, well, fewer crypto clients, but chunkier jobs.
Yes, definitely.
Compared to 2022, where we had thousands or hundreds of NFT creators, investors, collectors,
artists.
It's like sandwich artists. It's reminding me,
Yeah.
Yeah, creators, artists.
Yeah. And what portion does crypto make up now that your business has matured? It's 4 years old.
Yeah, 4 years this year.
4 years. February, so it started off with 80% crypto. What is it now?
It's probably 50.
50-50.
Yeah, 50 crypto adjacent or crypto direct, and then probably 30 or 40% international.
Yeah.
International's grown massively. And then sort of 10% like other crap.
Yeah. How do the international people find you? Or is it more Australians looking to restructure overseas?
It's a lot of Australians because getting out of the Australian tax system is difficult because it's very sticky. You've got to do things properly or otherwise it's all for naught and you get fully taxed in Australia. So it's a lot of Australians. And in the last sort of 6 months, it's been a lot of stuff coming through the website. People doing their own research, AI results as well.
Yeah.
It's like there's not even SEO keywords you can do for this stuff because it's so niche. But if someone's looking that up, they're very high confidence going to be a buyer. So then we have to go, well, what are these people looking for? That they want to cease Australian residency, they want to pay less tax, they want to be digital nomads, or but like we used to get a lot of people, before the war, would say, I want to move to Dubai. And I go, why do you want to move to Dubai? And they're like, don't want to pay any tax. And I was like, mate, that's a shit reason. That's a bad reason. And a lot of them I said, have you been to Dubai? And they're like, nah.
Right.
And I'm like, well, you got to live there. Like you can just go to the Cook Islands, mate. You can go to lots of places.
Yeah.
But you've got to enjoy it or it's just not going to last.
Yeah.
And if you're casual there and you come back, all that planning doesn't work.
Yeah. Because you really got to commit for as long as a period of time to...
Yeah, 2 or 3 years and, properly put down roots there.
Yep.
It doesn't work if, all your family are in Australia, all your friends, all your colleagues. You've got to have those local connections. You've got to build them. Like I've had lots of people go and then they build them there and that's fine. But they often don't have strong connections here. If you've got wife and kids, husband and kids here and you're overseas, you're probably not ceasing residency. You can't just ship one family member off and go non-resident.
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
Yeah.
Lots of cases on this sort of thing as well is you've got to be very careful and do it properly. And if you don't, it's kind of like don't bother.
Yeah.
It's very complex, very high value. So it's a great sort of niche for us.
Yeah.
Because it's also quite underserved in Australia. A lot of people are like property, domestic taxation. There's a lot of tax lawyers doing that. But there are not that many doing international tax for things below that multinational.
What's the other common one outside Dubai?
New Zealand's a great one with their transitional tax resident regime. There's a lot going to Indonesia, Thailand, and they don't specifically have tax exemptions. And Thailand's tightening up a little bit, but you could get very good tax planning by just not receiving income in those jurisdictions.
Yeah.
A
lot of crypto people like the Cayman Islands, the BVI, or even Panama.
Panama's cool.
Yeah.
What's
different to those are those jurisdictions better for certain types of activity compared to Dubai or
each jurisdiction has that's taking a economic center strategy, i.e. tax haven strategy, will also focus on a niche. So I think the best example is Curacao, which is an island which pretty much does online gambling, licensing, casinos. That's what it does. The companies that are structured there do it really only for that reason.
Right.
So that jurisdiction has a real specific niche. Look, it's also zero tax. It's also all these other things, but it's built for iGaming. Caymans is a bit more general. It's built for funds. It's built for head company operations, general investment, that sort of thing. And BVI is sort of similar, but a bit more, a bit less strict. So BVI, Cayman is like a really good combo. And Panama's cool. It's coming up in the world, Panama.
And is that like the BVI? Is that BVI entities that are better for the funds and stuff? Is that because it's just more regulated and the rules are more transparent in those jurisdictions that allow investors or fund managers to be like, okay, at least in this jurisdiction, I know what my rule. Like one, it's tax is a tax haven, but two, the rules are
tax haven's so dirty, Raf. Like economic center is
it's all about framing.
Using that next time.
Yeah. It's like the Australians at the pub talking about those bloody Cayman Islands structured businesses. Like they kind of don't understand what it is because like Cayman Island funds are very regulated and very clear. That's the difference. Like here they're very regulated, but it's also very vague.
Yep.
Makes it a very weird combination. So if I've got a Cayman Island fund and I'm investing in, crypto or other things, and you guys are the investors, you're based in Australia. So the fund does all its things, makes, say $1 million in profit. It then distributes your share. You're paying tax in Australia. If you structured it in Australia, you would have potentially two levels of taxation, one at the fund level and one at the investor level. And then you got to work out, there's credits and whatever. So like those jurisdictions are built for that investment purpose, for that formal sort of fund manager thing. Having a Cayman Island fund doesn't go, this is dodgy. It's just got a structural purpose, which is around professional services, fund management, that sort of thing, so that you can invest freely, and then the investors pay tax in their home jurisdiction, which is pretty fair. It's not there so nobody pays any tax. It's just so nobody pays tax on the transparent bit, and then you pay tax where the investor is, because you can take investors from US, UK, Australia, wherever, with some other licensing crap. But like, it just makes a lot more sense. But Australia's not built for that. So it's not a good place to do it unless it's property, and then you have to do it here. So.
I'm sure you hear clients trying to give you tax advice, thinking that they know everything. But what are the most
that's fun.
What are the biggest misconceptions or most common misconceptions that you hear people talking about when it comes to international structures?
Well, the first one is you just move overseas and then you can sell your Bitcoin or XRP. Don't pay any tax. It's like, well, no, we've got rules about that. Either you pay tax on exit, or you pay tax in Australia when you sell it once you're overseas. So you're going to end up taxed either way. And this is sort of where those loan products are really useful. But you can't just escape Australian taxation with simply getting a flight to Dubai. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. I've heard a few people tell me they plan on selling when they're in international waters and then coming back to Australia.
I like that one. That's a good one. They're like pirates.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They're pretty creative.
You know,
The
creative.
crypto
It's like finger painting. You know, it's like, yeah, nice one. You know, kindergarten sort of kid. But like, that's not real tax planning. But like with the advent of you know, AI, people can get a lot of content synthesized quickly, but whether they get the right answer, they don't.
How do you find like interacting with clients now that they've got access to AI? Like for us, it's you know, there's a few situations where they'll be, you know, we'll issue a tax return and there'll be someone who just puts that tax return straight into AI and says, you know, critique it. And the AI will like critique everything and give a list of things that we now have to respond to. And there was,
as long as you charge hourly rates, mate, it's not too bad.
Well, yeah, that's true. But yeah, like, and it's like, okay, well, it's going to take me half an hour to read this. And it ended up, and to respond, and it ended up being nothing wrong with the tax return. But the point is, it's just now so easy for a client to just, okay, Harry gave me this piece of advice, put it through ChatGPT with not much context probably.
There's a lot more scrutiny. Or it's far more easy to scrutinize.
Yeah, and just ask questions back to you. And it's just like, now it's on you to, well, I guess to your point, you have hourly rates, so it doesn't matter.
Well, we're moving away from it, like, because we're using the same tools.
Yeah.
And it's not that, you know, that's improved our technical capability. It's just allowed us to cut through that stuff faster.
Yes.
You know, fixed fees are great. Occasionally, it's not as often probably as you guys, because you know, if you prepare the return, like the backing isn't in the document. But the way we do the advice is we, you know, put the context in the document. So we get sort of less of those, you know, post advice queries, but we get a lot more like pre-engagement.
Yes.
And, you know, people go, oh, what about this rollover? And I'm like, doesn't work, bro, because of this thing.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, ChatGPT said it does. And I was like, mate, here's the rule. Doesn't work.
Yeah, put that through.
And then they're like, oh, you're right. I'm like, yeah, I know.
I have said to someone, it's like, put that through your AI.
Yeah.
And they do it. It's like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with using these tools. Like, it's great. You know, we use it. I like clients using it because they can ask more pointed questions.
Yeah.
Like, they're not just like, explain how CGT works.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to do that anymore. So that's good. It's quite rare that we get nonsense questions. But I do, I had a couple where, you know, I proposed a restructure and, they put it through and they were like, why can't I use this 320 AG thing? And I'm like, well, that only applies to assets. And they're like, it doesn't say that. And I was like, well, yeah, but here's, you know, an opinion about how that works. And they're like, oh, what about this rollover? I'm like, mate, that's for like involuntary land resumption. And they're like, oh yeah. And this was like a year ago when, you know, it was still a bit hit and miss, but the thing that doesn't change for professionals like us is they don't pay for the output specifically. They pay because it's a professional opinion they can rely on. You can't rely on Claude or ChatGPT to give you, you know, actual legal advice. People that act on that often stuff it up.
Yeah. And they, like, I mean, ChatGPT, they might give you the advice, this is what you got to do, like whether it's setting up an entity or something like that.
Yeah.
They will need an account to actually implement that anyway. So it can only go so far. Unless in a few years' time it can do it. You just
I don't think it can. Like, it's not going to bridge that trust that a human sort of will give. And like an AI will be human forever on like data retention and like synthesizing stuff. But it also doesn't know what it doesn't know. So if you prompt it badly, you know, like you said before, it's going to, you know, output garbage. So like lawyers and accountants and other professionals with AI are 10x better than sort of a pleb with a Claude subscription. Yeah. Even if it's the same tool underlying, it's about how you use it. You know, we all use Microsoft Word, mate. Like, doesn't mean we're on the same level. Yeah.
And so how's that affected your practice? Like I guess when I look at AI, I think we're in a pretty good position, like in terms of tax on chain, where, you know, we're still a small business. We got, you know, we've got 12 employees or 11 employees.
That's a lot of employees. I think I've got 6.
But like still, you know, a couple of grads in there and a couple of admin staff. So probably like 6 or 7 accountants, but not a big firm, obviously, compared to your big 4. Obviously, that got thousands, or even your mid-tier firms that got 50 employees plus 50 to 100. I feel like we're at a good size where we can adapt quite quickly to incorporating AI, safely within our practice, compared to a bigger firm where there's just so much more red tape. It might result in like dismissing a fair few employees, that their roles get redundant. For us, it's more so, okay, before we hire our next accountant, let's have a look at how much can AI do first. That's how we're sort of thinking. So for your practice, do you feel like you're in a similar position where, you may not, in order to 2x in revenue, you don't need a 2x or in size, you can just leverage AI and just be more efficient?
100%, more people doesn't make more money.
Yeah.
And that's been proven time and time again with, everybody says, oh, I want to, I'll hire 100 staff, I'll get partners. If one partner makes 2 million revenue a year, 10 partners will make 20 million. And it just doesn't work like that, and never has, even before AI. So like in law firms, and I think it's the same in accounting firms and most professional service firms, small, very agile firms always can be quite profitable.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this valley of death as you get, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 partners. And then at that large scale, you can do a lot better. Overall, each partner can make more money. But there's this valley of death where, a 5-partner firm can be way less efficient than a 1-partner firm or a 100-partner firm, both of them.
Yeah.
It's diminishing returns, until the right point. And that's going to continue and get worse because, you guys will say, well, do I need another person, another personality, another management, the management of a human resource, or do we instead pay our staff better and leverage their time better and get the output higher? And the second one just makes a whole lot more sense. And you got to remember, even these large firms, and I work with big 4 firms, and I quite like it because they want to do what they want to do and I do what I want to do. But they're all independent, really, the partners. They're a bunch of small firms that are just taped together.
Mm.
So they're really just small firms anyway. And if they're constrained by their sort of operations and their systems and everything, then they don't perform very well. But if they have systems and things that support them, they can do even better. So it's actually about how well you can run that back end business to enable the fee earners to just, bill a shitload of money. And the clients don't even mind because they don't care if you're taking on twice as much work, but you still get the same output, the same outcome.
Yeah.
It still works. But the other bit is the hourly model doesn't reward efficiency.
Mm.
So, we've switched to fixed fees more than we normally would. So often if it was, blue sky, let's figure it out, and it's 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, doesn't matter what we sort of put as an estimate. It's still a shot in the dark. And whatever we actually do hourly is what we can bill. But now we can go, all right, well, we think in 20 grand, it's fixed fee 20 grand, we can figure it out. And now we're incentivized to figure it out as fast as possible.
Yeah. Because,
we can do it in 5 grand, 10 grand a time. The client gets the surety of a fixed fee and the client gets the value that we're going to give them anyway.
Yeah.
I've had no complaints about it. And it's not this value billing thing of I charge fixed fees and people like it. It's just well, we have a very identifiable value of I can save you tax. I can make it so you pay the Australian government less money. That's the job.
Yeah. You pay me 20 grand to save
20
yourself
grand,
100.
And yeah,
pretty good ROI.
It's pretty good.
And my fee's tax deductible.
And that's right too. I tell them that too.
So you're paying half, really.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of the other kinds of lawyers get pushback where, if they're doing financial services or commercial law and the client knows they can do it in 25% of the time as they otherwise would, then they go fixed fee the same amount, then there's always going to be someone undercutting it a bit.
Mm.
But when we're in that hyper niche, there's very few people that do what we do. And I think we're really, really good at it. Once the client understands that we know what we're doing, as long as they have the financial resources and they have the upside, then the engagement almost always goes through. If they don't have the resources or the upside's not big enough, I usually will say to them, don't bother.
Yeah.
This will cost you a lot of money. It's not worth it. I'd rather have that than send a quote that gets denied.
Yeah. Well, it's the clients that are willing, well, that see the value and are willing to pay for it that are the ones you want to work with, because the ones that are price sensitive are usually low value clients and they cause you the most headaches as well.
Yes.
They're the ones asking all the ChatGPT questions too.
Yes. I've turned some of those fee sensitive clients into good clients.
Yep.
But more often than not, when they come in and, I say, like generally our minimum fee for some formal advice is around 5,000 because we've got to onboard the client, we've got to figure out what we're doing, we've got to get to the point pretty quickly in a $5,000 advice, get the output. And if that's all they really need, then it's like, well, like happy to do it, but it's got to be strict.
Yeah.
And if they go, oh, $5,000's pretty expensive, and I got all these other questions, it's just like, mate, you don't have a case where you need a tax lawyer. Like you just don't, because the value isn't there for me, and the value's probably not there for you.
Yeah.
So like we get less and less of these small queries now, which is good. Often what they need is a good accountant, because they go, oh, can you give me some portfolio allocation advice? How should I put aside tax? How do I do a Div 7A loan? And I'm like, mate, you don't need me for that.
Yeah.
That's where, the annual advisory stuff is what you need.
Yeah.
Where like high value, high cost, and the value exceeds the cost in every case.
Yeah. And back to the like how you're leveraging AI to be more efficient, but changing to this fixed fee structure.
Yep.
Because charge on an hourly rate doesn't reward efficiency. Is that's what you're sort of heading towards? Is that what all law firms are doing as well? Like the big four firms or the mid-tier law firms, are they still stuck in the old model, or are they also moving as you are, or transitioning to a different price structure?
Like I think some of them are.
Like, do you think you're at an advantage that you're a smaller firm? You can just make this decision.
Oh yeah.
Tomorrow and say, okay, we're switching to fixed fee.
Yeah, I can switch models, drop of a hat. I can build my own custom tooling, which I've been doing. Some of it helpful, some of it not. But like we can iterate very, very quickly.
Yeah,
and it's also quite specific. We don't buy a general purpose AI tool like Harvey or a Legora or anything like that. Not at this point. Maybe later we will. We also, don't need that change management process. It's much easier to get staff and people on board about this thing.
Yep.
We can also experiment faster. We can just do everything a whole lot faster because we don't have that red tape.
Yeah.
Whereas I know of a firm, and they've middle-sized sort of large firm, and they've hired 5 AI consultants.
5.
Yeah, and they pay them like I said to the partner, I was like, I'm gonna guess you're paying them over $300,000 a year. They're like, yeah. I was like, mate, I want to get into that business.
How do you become AI's only been around for like what? Oh, it's been around for a few years, but
it's been pretty niche.
How can you become an AI consultant on $500,000?
I think you just put it on your resume.
Just do it for 6 months and
just do an online course.
So if this doesn't work out,
get paid $500,000 a year.
Yeah. I'm just going to be like, just spin up Claude Code, off you go, and I'll send him a bill. So that's my alternate career path.
Yeah.
Who in your firm is responsible for figuring out how to leverage AI? Because that in itself can be a very time consuming process. There's so many resources out there. Like it's almost overwhelming. It's like, where do you even start? Like whose responsibility?
When do you get a consultant?
I don't think I will. Like I don't see the point, because like I end up testing a lot of the tooling and doing all the stuff. But tax lawyers, like maybe this is contrary to what people would think, but we're quite innovative. We have to solve problems all day. So people will see these tools and they'll try them, who aren't me. And then they'll say, this thing's cool, or like, I'm doing it this way. And we've got a pretty open policy. Really, we just want to shield client sensitive data. But in terms of iterating on drafting work and problem solving work, it's, the world's your oyster of what you can experiment with and do. Some of the staff are a bit slower, some are a lot faster. I'm pretty fast. I'm not the fastest in the firm about adoption, but I like, playing with stuff. I've got servers at home that I've set up. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but like it works.
Yeah.
And I get some friends that help out with OPSEC, so it's not, going to ruin my life or anything, but you've sort of got to be in the tooling or you're not going to understand it. So, if one of my staff said, yeah, we should use XYZ Chinese AI agent, it's going to speed us up 5,000%. It's just like, well, then I've got to be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But if I'm just going, well, here's the tools that we actually could use and I'm using them and they're pretty good, then it's pretty easy to get people in the firm on board.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of training. And it didn't take much training really to get people up to speed. And all the work is faster. But the thing that's different and the infrastructure that you build, it's not the model. It's not the here's how we do things. It's actually a lot of that proprietary data that you've got, that I've got. So I've written hundreds of advices on different stuff.
Yeah.
And I've actually passed and got out all of the data from those about the strategies we run and the factual matrices and all of those things. And I've got, you know, this separate sort of resource that AI can draw on.
Mm-hmm.
And it only happened for the first time recently. Had this sort of M&A deal, and we're trying to figure out, like, well, how do we, you know, pay less tax to the Australian government? Again, that's the job. And I was like, I just couldn't quite crack it. It was all getting too complicated, and I was like, no, that's too complicated. So that's going to be, you know, part for a risk, big problem, which is the anti-avoidance provision. And then, I just threw it in to Claude, and I was like, look, here's what I'm doing. Just like check your data bank and just, is there a good strategy? And made it found one. And I was like, wow, you got it. Like, it was my strategy.
Yeah. But it was like, ages ago.
Yeah, it was like, this will work better. Really simple strategy. But I normally apply that strategy to land.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But this was a sale of shares. But conceptually, it was the same, you know, using call options and loans and stuff. And I was like, you know, this is going to be good. Like, we build up more of that data.
So that's what it would, that's what a paralegal would normally.
Oh, mate, paralegals can't solve those questions.
But
But
they would be digging for that. Is that what their role normally is? Like say if AI wasn't there, that you'd just be getting a paralegal, like go through our database and
figure it out.
See what.
Mate, a paralegal couldn't do it.
Right.
It'd be an associate or senior associate that would do that. And then you've got obviously the propensity for human error and the time cost in doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, I already had the data. It was about the analysis, which AI can do really, really well.
How long did it take Claude to figure that out? Like 30 seconds?
Yeah, 30 seconds a minute. And, you know, it gave me 5 ideas and 4 of them were shit. But one of them I was like, we've got that. So it's actually, I wouldn't say replacing, because, you know, that will start to make me redundant, but it's a tool to help me problem solve faster.
Yeah.
Like a lot faster.
And if it's becoming easier and quicker to provide this type of advice and solve these problems for clients, do you think the cost of professional services will just start trending downwards over the next few years?
Eventually it will.
Yeah.
Like for those services that are easy to replicate, like, you know, we already see corporate commercial documents, people draft their own shareholders agreement, and then we're like, oh my God, this is like the worst thing I've ever seen. I got one recently, and it was a shareholders agreement, a loan agreement, a share subscription agreement, and something else all in one. I was like, I don't think you guys know what a shareholders agreement actually is. I don't know how you actually got this out of AI. It was remarkable. But people are going to do that more and more. And other lawyers are going to use tools more and more where they can write X agreement really fast. Yeah. You know, it's not template precedents. It's about, you know, precedent resources, and then you can apply it to the client's facts. You can do that really quickly. It'll trend down, I think, for those areas where it's commoditized. But things like, you know, it's essentially consulting work. Yeah. Not in the lame sort of big firm sense, but in like the cool, someone says, how do I solve this problem? And it's a high value problem. And then we're going to give them a high value solution. And I don't think there's going to be any negative impact on that.
Yeah. The very repetitive types of services, the cost of doing that.
Like I saw someone yesterday that had a issue with Qantas. And, you know, they complain and they're like, oh, yeah, whatever, stuff you around. And they basically downloaded all the Qantas policies, fed it to their AI agent, such AI tool, whatever it was. And, you know, Claude with all the information against like poor offshore customer service agent, mate, Claude's going to work. Claude's going to win every time. Yeah. And it did.
Yeah.
Like, runs rings around this. So that repetitive work, is going to go.
Yeah. And
we've probably got a couple of years where we can still use AI to, you know,
that's what we
bully people in a good way, in you know, justice.
Yeah.
Like bullying government departments, mate. I'm all up for that.
Yeah.
Again, that's the job. So
you love to go into battle with the ATO, don't you?
Well, I do, but it's like debilitating. Like I'm not a litigator. Like I don't love going to court and wearing the suit and tie and Your Honour, objection. I don't like that stuff. And most tax disputes don't even get that far. But I do ATO audit work. I used to be an ATO auditor, and it's just quite unfulfilling sometimes because I think I'm right, and then they don't seem to be able to even comprehend what we're talking about, because you don't need actual qualifications to be an ATO auditor.
Really?
No, you don't. Any schmuck can be it. Like, sure, they put requirements on the job post, but like plenty of people start, in the call center in a junior role, and they work their way up, and they're a, mid-level officer, and they're thrown into the high net wealth audit team.
Yeah. And
they've never heard of CFC rules. They've never heard of, consolidation rules, but they've got to figure it out on the job. And there was a case recently, I don't know if you saw it, an R&D tax offset case.
Okay, no.
And they, made a decision, and it got overturned. And one of the pieces of evidence was the auditor had never run one of those cases before. And they were also dead wrong about stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like really frustrating and debilitating to, put all this time and effort in.
Yeah.
And it just ends up, I wouldn't say a waste of time, but it's like hitting your head against a brick wall. It just doesn't get outcomes because the ATO is not really like it used to be. It just feels like they're not really listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like I can only do one or two of them at a time. Right. There's one case I've had almost 4 years. Still going.
Wow.
We only got the audit decision a couple of months ago.
Wow. Is there what's the ATO stance with crypto at the moment?
I don't know what they're doing.
Is it still it feels like
how many audits have you guys had to deal with from the ATO?
0.
0?
Yeah.
I've had 1.
We've had a few reviews.
Yeah, but no full blown.
Oh, sorry, reviews as well. Yeah.
We've had a few reviews.
Yeah.
But they've lasted like a week or less.
Yeah, and it sounds like they've all been dismissed.
Yeah.
So I did one. It was like a comprehensive review, and we answered it all. It didn't go to audit, but it's pretty clear that the ATO is currently only looking at centralized exchange data.
Yeah, it was someone from the ATO who's leading the crypto team, and he was saying that they're expecting reinforcements next year.
Reinforcements?
Well, I don't think reinforcements was his word. It was
Said
like more resources.
Much bigger budget.
Yeah, much. But yeah, he's like they're going to have a much bigger team.
Yeah,
and that's going to be one of their big focuses. But
they've said big focuses. How many years has crypto been a big major focus? Yeah. It's been about 6 years, I think.
Yeah. But it's still, he said it's still going to be like just on the centralized exchanges.
Yeah.
Like, they won't have too much capability yet with DeFi. But you would imagine AI will make an ATO auditor's job a bit easier to particularly with crypto anyway.
Yeah. Look, as long as they've actually invested in the tooling, it would.
Yeah.
But, the audit that we had, or the review that we had was, the reason it was triggered was the volume question on a major exchange. There was a lot of volume. There was just this guy's profits over many years. He off-ramped them into AUD for his retirement. Clearly, that's what triggered the audit. And I kind of asked them, I was like, is that why? And they're like, yeah, probably. I was like, okay. But the guy paid all the tax, like it all made sense over the previous years. And sort of the case was dismissed. But there's 2 problems. Number one, they're not looking at all data.
No.
Like they could look at these public blockchain, which has all these miraculous records that can never be deleted. It's all there, but they're not really looking at it yet. But it's all still there. So when the day comes that they do look at it, they'll see all the dirty laundry.
Yeah.
And that's like what we tell people all the time is, if you just don't declare it, and then eventually you're linked to a wallet because of a centralized exchange report, and then you get the please explain why did you, trade $50 million of assets through this wallet? We know it's your wallet. You're in a very hard position. Yeah.
Well, with the CARF stuff.
CARF stuff, yes.
That being the crypto asset reporting framework.
Yes. Yeah. It'll be a lot. So, yeah, you'd probably be able to explain it better, but under CARF regulation, it's a global framework, but for Australians, any exchange that you are using, that exchange will be reporting your overall volume on that exchange to, for Australians, it would be to the ATO.
Yep.
So the ATO will know you've traded $1 million of crypto on say SwiftX or BTC markets for that financial year, and that's because I think the customers are going to have to, or the exchange is going to have to request the TFNs of those customers as well, which is going to be a change for for all crypto investors. We've never had to give a TFN to an exchange, but now we will.
Just banks before, really.
And it's not just Australian exchanges though either. It's a global reporting framework. So international exchanges that fall within a jurisdiction opting into the CARF framework will be required to report data to the ATO.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's just AusTrack, right? Deposits, withdrawals from DCEs. That's how they get their...
Certain DCEs, digital currency exchanges, now they're called VASPs. It's all different now since, last month or month before. They just had information requests. So the ACO can issue these 353 notices, which is a formal requirement for you to provide information. In this context, they say, yep, give us all the user data, and the exchanges are like, yeah, whatever, sure. But it's not every exchange. For instance, I run a crypto exchange. Black Sheep is registered as a VASP, and we don't have one.
Right.
So not every exchange has one. Under CARF, they all will report. But the interesting thing about CARF is it's not designed for Australian exchanges to report Australian customer stuff. It's designed for foreign exchanges with Australian customers to report that to the ATO. So there's actually two regimes in the Australian CARF implementation. One of them is we have to collect the TIN, the tax identification number. And if it's, say a Singaporean tax resident who's provided their Singaporean tax ID, they're going to report that to the Singapore Tax Authority. Yeah. The exchange has the obligation. You've got to do these like weird XML file things. But if it's an Australian customer of an Australian exchange, CARF doesn't technically apply. But they've put in this separate regime of the Australian exchanges actually do have to do that, which is kind of weird. For one reason is the data that you provide to the foreign government is different to the data that you provide to the Australian government. So you've got to actually do two full reports. Yeah. So this is fun. This is why tax, the more regulation never makes it easier. It's
classic government inefficiency.
So we actually replied to the CARF proposals and stuff. And
you did. Yeah. But I think the Australian government or the ATO is going a step further, where they won't just want the overall volume of a particular taxpayer. They'll be requesting the transaction history.
Yeah, that's in the new law too.
Which is a step further.
Yeah, which is ridiculous because they could just go and get that data if they want, but requiring it to be submitted.
But the exchanges, it's just more of a burden for the exchanges to have to comply. Do you get a lot of advice or consulting work to do with CARF for exchanges, or
not yet? Yeah, not yet. And the financial services reg lawyers that I deal with, they're not super aware of CARF. To sort of clarify, we actually don't have any proposed legislation for it yet.
Right.
It's just like they're like, we'll do it. There's no act that's going to start, whereas a lot of countries have already started.
New Zealand, I think, was one of the first ones.
Yeah. Because they weren't silly and didn't want to put all this extra crap in it. They were just like OECD, CARF, boom, let's go.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah. So Black Sheep is New Zealand registered as well. So, we've got the CARF stuff that we're dealing with over there. Yeah. So, but we're pretty aware of it. We're pretty prepared for it. I think most of the large exchanges are prepared for it. But I was actually looking into it yesterday. You have to provide your TFN to these exchanges. It actually breaches the Privacy Act. Because
really?
Yes, because for a bank, if you remember putting your TFN in for a bank account, they go, you don't have to provide it. If you don't provide it, we'll keep interest withholding tax, whatever. So the exchanges aren't doing that, for starters. Number two, there is no penalty for not providing it. There is no withholding tax, but they just go, well, we can't service you.
It just creates a big honeypot as well
and that they're very sensitive numbers. You can't get another one.
No. Yeah, no. And it's a real hassle if it gets compromised.
Oh, it is the biggest hassle.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah, for the rest of your life. So you would have clients, and when you lodge, you've got to call, I think it's called CISC, the compromise, whatever.
Unlock it.
Yeah, they've got to unlock it
for 24 hours or 48 hours or something.
And you got to lodge it and they close it again.
Yeah.
Such a pain in the ass.
Yeah. And I think we've had a few instances where we're like, hey, have you lodged your tax return already? We've just finished it, but we just realized you've lodged it last week. It's like, no. In this particular case, they had gone onto a website called quick tax returns or something.
Yeah.
And
instant tax refund or something.
it was something like
Immediate
that.
tax refund.
Yeah, and it was, you got to input your name, TFN, date of birth.
Yep.
Got the
Gone.
details.
Very, very sensitive number. You can't undo that.
Yeah.
And there's actually like a lot of rules about collecting TFNs and using it for stuff.
Yeah.
So it is actually a criminal offence to request a TFN when it is not required.
Right.
And they have not fixed, like, first of all, the CARF doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Yet exchanges are getting ahead of it by starting to get it.
Yeah.
Like there's like this problem here. But the other side of it is financial institutions all over the world get TFNs all the time, which is illegal. But no one's ever been prosecuted for it.
Yeah.
It's one of those over-regulation things of like, yes, it's technically not allowed, but nobody cares.
Yep.
And it's just,
I would say
that's the life of a lawyer, mate. It's just,
yeah. Well, I reckon with the crypto crowd, particularly a lot of them, but like particularly the Bitcoiners who are, self-sovereign, and they'll they believe in all that stuff. And
sovereign citizens, yeah.
Not your keys, not your crypto sort of thing. Like they're, anti-government. There is definitely a segment of clients who are like that.
Yeah.
But and there's some that are sort of on the fence. But I reckon once they get an exchange asking for your tax file number, because they hate the director ID. It's like, well, you need a director ID.
Yeah.
You're going to be, if you've got an SMSF and you've got a company involved there.
Yeah.
They hate that. So I do see a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot, but definitely the crypto OGs, Bitcoiners in particular, who will just say that will be like the final straw. Like, I'm not using the exchanges. I'm going full, self-custody.
What are they going to do if they want to sell it?
They're going to
no
go to
DeFi on
international
Bitcoin.
waters.
Yeah, international waters, mate. But
they all a lot of them plan to just like
leave.
they're fed up with Australia.
Yeah.
They're fed up with the tax, like too much tax.
Yep.
Too much oversight by the government. You know, with all the digital ID requirements, things like that.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
But people like living here still.
Yeah. Well, that's the best
So
part
it's
about
like-
Australia.
But there gets a point, and where the amount of tax they pay and the value they get living here doesn't add up anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they leave. And there's this I'm probably going to tell this really badly, but there's this anecdote from years ago. I think it was in the Herald, and it's replaced a much older one. But it was like you've got 10 men, and they all buy one beer every day at the pub. But they made a deal. The one earning the most income will pay more, and the one earning less income will pay less.
Mm-hmm.
And the rich guy who's there, he's happy to pay $10 for 10 beers. He's paying $8.50 because he's earning shitloads of money. And then everyone else pays a lot less. And that's fair. Rich guy doesn't even mind because he's like, I'm making crap loads of money. It's fine. And then a tax break comes in, i.e. the beers get cheaper. They go, boys, congratulations. We love you. We're going to drop the price of beer for you, 80 cents each. So now spending $8. The proportion of the tax saving flows to the rich guy. And all the people paying, 5, 10, 20 cents are like, this rich bloke's getting all these tax breaks now. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. He shouldn't get that reduction. We should get the reduction. And then suddenly he's, not paying 85%, he's paying 90%, subsidizing the cost for everybody else.
Yeah.
And then what happens? He stops coming.
Yeah.
He doesn't go for beers anymore. Then you got 9 men buying 9 beers, and the guy paying 90% of the bill is gone. They're all paying more. And this is kind of the cycle that we go through is we put a lot of tax on stuff, and then the people with movable assets will just go. Even if they pay an exit tax, they will just go. The only ones that we keep is mining, oil, gas. We can tax that. Whether we tax it enough, that's something I'll come to in a moment. But it's physical stuff here. So they can't do it overseas.
Yep.
They can do, structures and stuff, but it's here. Same with houses. They're here. Property, it's here. Which is why the Australian economy's developed into rocks and houses. That's it.
Yeah.
Rocks and houses. Not much else. Professional services, mate. Like, we work for the people that have rocks, houses, essentially underlying, that supported all their investments.
Because of them, we've got a job.
Because of them, we've got a job, essentially. And just like in that example, where the 9 men go, well, that man number 10 shouldn't be getting a tax break, and it pushes people out. The answer isn't always everybody who earns more than me should pay more tax. That is not always the answer. In fact, it's rarely the answer.
Yeah.
Because everybody takes that view is anybody earning more than me should pay more tax. I don't, or they go, and this is actually a more Australian view, is they go, we shouldn't affect negative gearing. We shouldn't affect the CGT discount because one day I might want to use that.
Yeah.
Yet they don't really appreciate that 90% of that benefit does flow to the wealthy, which is not inherently bad because that's how it's designed. And if you don't have that, then you've got a whole different economic setup. And yeah, the answer isn't those damn wealthy should be paying more. And my favorite one that I tell people, if you look at like the top earning professions, the list every year, it's like anaesthetist, orthopedic surgeon, podiatrist, pediatrician.
Crypto tax lawyer.
Not yet. Probably number 11 on the top 10. Nah, wouldn't be close. But like we all know, they aren't the wealthy people. They're just the high income earners.
Yeah.
The wealthy people own businesses. They own shit.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to tax wealth. Income is very easy to tax because it comes in or it doesn't. But we look at, the big income earners. We look at negative gearing, look at CGT discounts, those sorts of things. We're hitting that same top 10 professions every time.
Yep.
And the amount of taxation basically on doctors is extreme.
Yeah.
They can't structure their income, so they have to earn it personally. They get some, little benefits if they can, use service trusts and crap, but that's really complicated, expensive, doesn't shelter that much. Payroll tax coming in, it's been floating around for a while. And then they're like, negative gearing. Who negative gears? Is the friggin' doctors. Like I don't negative gear because I've got a business structure. I've got a company that can earn the income. I can then structure the flows however I sort of need to. But if you're earning $1 million a year, the only real tax planning strategy you've got is negative gearing because your super's maxed out.
Yeah.
You can't structure it through a trust and send it to your spouse. Everyone else gets that benefit, business owners, but employees don't, and sole traders don't. And that also flows down to the lower income earners who can't structure their PAYG income, where you've got, say, one of the spouses works and earns $200,000 a year and the other one stay at home. It's still one threshold, and the other one's zero. And there's been some sort of fixing up of that, but like the whole makeup of the system doesn't quite make sense because it wasn't really coherently ever built. Because the last major tax reform we had was the GST, which was 26, 27 years ago. Since then, we've just been faffing around with the edges.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's why we're seeing like a lot of clients just asking us to move. They want to move.
Yeah.
They've had enough.
Yeah. And I don't blame them because it's very hard to tax the sort of lower middle income earners.
Yeah.
But and you're not just losing.
Even if you should.
You're not just losing, well, you're not just losing the tax revenue from these wealthy people going offshore. You're also losing innovation. That's going overseas. Those are businesses that have been lost that could have been providing jobs to Australian citizens.
Or investment or wealth. And the broad brush of, they don't contribute enough is, I think, too much of a simplification. It's a very complex thing, tax policy. Not something that I deign to think I'm anything to do with it, apart from my job is to poke holes in stuff. And I can tell them how I can poke holes in stuff. In fact, I've done it many times and I've been ignored. Whatever. I feel like I've done my public service of saying that's shit law.
Yeah.
And then they put it anyway. And I was like, I told you, I don't feel bad about that at all. But, like this whole attitude of everybody should pay more except me is, you go, the oil and gas companies aren't paying any tax. They're not paying income tax because they don't have any profit because they're doing all this other stuff. It's, you can't just look at one number.
Yeah.
You can't because there's payroll tax for one that the company pays. Employees don't pay that. GST stuff. There's all sorts of things. You've got to look up the whole makeup. If you just go, they didn't pay any fucking income tax, boys. What are these oil and gas companies doing? It's missing the fact that we've got over 100 different taxes in this country. So it's just headline marketing, clickbait, and that's really caught on.
Yeah.
And it always would. It's a great story, and there's definitely some dodgy ones out there. Definitely, I don't want to mention names or I'm going to get sued, but there are some big cases the ATO won against gas companies and continue to run against mining companies and that sort of thing. But, you know, as a generalization of they're not paying enough tax is like, you've just got to be careful with that, because humans are really prone to that. These heuristics of like, they got lots of money, they're not paying very much tax because of one number. Then you'll go,
yeah,
damn those people.
Yeah.
You've got to not simplify it that much.
Yeah.
Or you don't get a good picture.
Yeah. So with a lot of clients who have maybe they don't have a partner or they don't have kids and they're a crypto investor. So like, you know, setting up under a trust is not going to be that beneficial to them if you know, or a company even.
It's like you look to the future, you're like, you might need it, but that's not really a big tax.
But if their outlook is like just going to run this cycle, you know, this 4-year cycle and sell, it's like, well, you know, it just try get that 50% CGT discount.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to reduce your tax rate to like half of 47%.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, you know. And sometimes like, yeah, it's pretty good. Sometimes they're like, nah, that's still too much. Then you're going to have to go overseas.
Yeah, go overseas or, you know, do some aggressive strategies, take a lot of risk.
Yeah, but we'll see what the budget, which is like today, what's the date today? The 7th of April? Oh, 7th of May.
7th of May. We are pre-budget.
Yeah, we are pre-budget.
Yeah.
So
this will be released post-budget, so we might all look silly.
That's right.
Please forgive me.
Yeah. So there is speculation that the government will get rid of the 50% CGT discount.
Yeah.
Which is something that we've been, you know, advising clients to take advantage
of. People panic. People are like, should I change my entire structure? And I'm like, off like whispers of a Treasury announcement. Like, that's not a good idea.
Gotten a couple of emails about that already.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's all speculative.
What are we going to advise on? Like, I don't even know how it's going to work.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
One thing I like is, you'll see like, Treasury leak might remove CGT discount, might grandfather, it might not. Maybe we'll you know, negative gearing adjust. Like, these are intentional leaks because we are the focus group.
Yeah.
And they look at the public response.
Yeah.
Like, they model everything.
Yeah.
If you go on, you can go onto the Parliamentary Budget Office thing and they've asked them all sorts of nonsense. And you can pick anything you want. And you say, yeah, Treasury's thinking about this. And like, they've thought about it. Whether they're seriously going to do it, probably not. But a lot of these big media entities, like, they are fed data specifically so they can publish it. They get great views. People click it, buy the paper, whatever. Treasury gets a nice little focus group sample of like, okay, send it to the Fin Review. They put it out there. What do their viewers think? Check the Facebook comments, mate. You know, check what those combined Facebook accounts
check the reactions.
Say, you know, Dan and Chaz, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's how they test sentiment.
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense if you're in government.
Yeah. Like, they don't know what they're going to do until the night.
Yeah.
I've no doubt.
Yeah.
I've no doubt. Like, there's, even in the past few weeks, you know, pre the budget, they spoke about grandfathering the CGT discount, and they spoke about not grandfathering it. And then it's like this fairness thing. And they're all watching. And they're trying to see what is going to be palatable. But the thing is, with tax policy, it upsets everybody. Tax reform upsets everybody. The wealthy, the not wealthy, doesn't matter what you do. So it loses votes. That happened to John Howard. He needed enough sort of support, votes, backing to do major tax reform in the 90s and the early 2000s, and then he lost the election because it just burns votes.
Yeah.
Even if it's like, that doesn't inconvenience me, but it might later, like a CGT discount. People who don't even benefit from it are like, you shouldn't do that, which just makes no sense.
Yeah, well, proposing change to the CGT discount is what shortened the election a few years ago.
That was the franking credits one, wasn't it?
I remember. Yeah.
Was it CGT as well?
I think it was CGT as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. That media campaign from the Liberals, like, nail in the coffin. It was the unlosable election, and then they're like, boys.
I've already seen one for this current one with the negative gearing.
Yeah,
just got.
They're coming for our franking credits. Think of the retirees.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
They had like Anthony Albanese on like 20 different occasions before the election. Be like, we'll never touch negative gearing. I think that's pretty clear.
They're like, he broke his election promise. But like, good leadership should be, made that promise, shouldn't keep it. Not in the best interest of people to keep promises when it would, you know, remove prosperity of the nation, even if they made a promise.
Yeah.
If it's like that, that's what we expect of leaders, is to make the
to
right
adapt
decision.
and change. And
To adapt to change. And if the thing changed, but the election promise was, not going to do X, Y, Z, but it's like, now I should. Now I really should. Then, it's going to piss off some people. But if people had objective brains, they might go, well, that is the right thing to do. But it's driven by a media narrative, not by a real life narrative. So, and that's how the Liberals killed Labor in that unlosable election. I thought it was like a masterclass in marketing.
Yeah.
They killed it. I'm impressed by that even now.
Cadena's not the only business that you've founded. You're also the founder of Black Sheep. So, so for those viewers who don't know what Black Sheep is, do you want to give them the the elevator pitch?
Yeah, sure. So, the most simple explanation is it's a payments business, similar to an Airwallex or a Wise, where you do FX and send money cross border. The difference is we do that FX stuff. We also do it facing stablecoins as well. So we can do stablecoin swaps at size based on FX rates. Whereas if you go to an exchange, you've got an order book. Depending on the liquidity, you'll get a random price. We do it in a way where businesses can actually use it for payments, whether they want to have a stablecoin balance and pay, or they want to pay somebody in AUD and then they receive a stablecoin. So we can do those third-party payments. So it's not just an on-off ramp of moving money to crypto. It's a way for you to actually engage with stablecoins as if you are making a payment and dealing in FX.
So you're using stablecoin rails to move money?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
Like, if people want stablecoins, sure.
Yeah.
If they don't want stablecoins, there's not really much point. Like, they call it the stablecoin sandwich. You've got like the fiat layer and the stablecoins in the middle make up the patty. But if I've got like AUD to USD, like that's a pretty liquid pair. I'm just going to go straight to it. Why would I go to USDT or USDC, which will be slightly worse pricing, and then off ramp into USD, which will also incur a fee? So like,
well, you can avoid bank fees,
but the spreads are worse.
Like transfer time, because like doing an international bank transfer, it can take days still. I'm pretty sure.
If you do it on Swift.
Yeah.
But for like really liquid corridors, like G10 corridors, there's not a lot of benefit for just putting a stablecoin in there. For those exotic corridors, there is huge benefit in doing it. The other and the most major opportunity that we see is Southeast Asia, APAC region, is a lot of those exporters, a lot of those service providers, they want to be paid in stablecoins because it's quick. So it's the stablecoin half sandwich of, fiat goes in, stablecoin go out. Because if I'm a major importer of stuff and my supplier from China or Hong Kong or Singapore says, we need USD in the account before we'll open the containers for you, and you got to send it by Swift, that's when it's going to take, T+2, T+3, maybe longer. But if it's AUD to USDC, USDT, most of it's USDT in this sort of flow, we collect the AUD, I can swap that immediately into USDT and it's gone. Like in 30 minutes or less. 30 minutes is generous. We could do it in under 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Because we can do all the FX hedging crap and do the payout.
Yeah.
And we're not waiting for the bank overseas to accept it. It's just pushed to a wallet. So that's the bit that saves a lot of time.
So your target market is businesses then?
Businesses. Like, we can do retail and on-off ramping first party. That's easy. There's lots of people that do that.
And can you on-ramp straight into a wallet?
Yep. AUD is currently 2 clicks. USD is direct to USDC. It'll settle immediately.
Okay.
When you deposit, AUD will do that as well at some point. But there's too many like little tinkered products. We're just trying to pick the ones that really work. The biggest one is, fiat in, stablecoin out to a third party. Huge interest in that. The other side of it is have a balance of stablecoins, want to pay lots of people in various markets. So I've got USDC or USDT and I want to pay a supplier in Australia. Normally I would need, if I was going to off ramp from that, I need to send it to a bank account through an exchange and then make that payment. But through Black Sheep, it's signed transaction, AUD goes out to third party.
How long does that take?
We are just restricted by the bank times, which is new payment platform. Right. It's usually instant, but banking is a bit of a black box, so sometimes it's a bit longer.
Have you been debanked through Black Sheep?
Not through
Like,
Black sheep.
Or has Black Sheep been debanked? Just being a crypto, like dealing with stable coins. Like we know a lot of Aussie banks just will deplatform.
Well, we just haven't been onboarded for a lot of them.
Yeah.
So it's not like we got on and then they closed us down.
Yeah.
It's more that they don't service crypto-facing companies. But really, they don't service a lot of fintechs. Like those banking relationships are really difficult to get for a fintech. It's now doing it, it's been over 2 years. And that first year was sort of very foundational. And then last year we built a lot of product because we finally got through those relationships sort of woes. Like I've got a guy who just does bank relationships.
Full Black Sheep.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
And he's doing commercialization and sales as well. But his biggest asset, early on is he knew these banks. He knew these payment providers. So no matter if I'm the coolest, sickest TikTok tax lawyer ever with the best idea in the world, the banks don't know me from bar of soap, so they won't really agree. It's a very tight-knit industry.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, you don't know. I've no doubt some of the people with the best ideas for a fintech can't get it off the ground because they don't know where to go. And even if they do, they won't onboard them.
That's right.
It's such a strangely relationship-driven business that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
But it's been fun.
Who would be who are you competing against?
In terms of stablecoin-based payments, not directly on the same product, but our probably biggest competitor for payments is Airwallex.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Airwallex did debank the law firm, which is probably worth a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But it was sort of the reason why we're kind of here today doing this business is that adversity to stablecoin payments is just ridiculous. And as long as we can solve the bank partnership side and have good tech on top, we think there's a really good value capture there. That's the bet.
Interesting.
There's a couple of new Australian stablecoins.
Yep.
AUDM, AUDD. It's probably another one.
My favourite, AUDF.
Hadn't heard of that one.
Well, they invested in Black Sheep, so they're my favourite.
Ah, well, they're the best then. So what's volume been like? What do you think? We haven't seen any of our clients yet using an Australian stablecoin.
Yep.
Do you see much take up on an Aussie stablecoin?
Not in the context of it's like Tether,
where
you hold it. Because USDT is built for liquidity and trading. It's not built for payments. You can use it for payments. Like I can pay you in gold bars, I can use it for payments, but it's not built for that.
Yeah.
AUD stablecoins are not used for trading. And saying that people will just hold stablecoins and we have a big balance and we can buy T-bills and I'll be as rich as, Daddy Paolo who makes $93 million per employee, it doesn't make any sense. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
I say to people, the best use of an AUD stablecoin is to sell it for a USD stablecoin because that's what they do with it, which really says the purpose of these stablecoins is for payments. It's not for trading.
Yeah.
It is only for payments and FX. And we use the Forte stablecoin because it's 1-to-1 AUD.
Yeah.
This is AUDF.
AUDF, 1-to-1 each way, no fees, which is great. They then also have the liquidity into USD stablecoins because they're an FX company. That's where they've come from.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can actually use that as a platform for doing things. Some other stablecoins either don't have the liquidity or they charge fees, mint or burn fees. And USDC, USDT do charge mint and burn fees.
Right.
And, for the large corporates and such.
Yeah.
But we can mint AUDF and do all sorts of things. Do our customers want to hold AUDF? Not so much yet. The utility is being built, there's some good stuff that I'm working with the Forte guys. But as a payment FX tool, it's got real value.
Yeah.
But as people I'll build it and they will come, that almost never has value for anything.
Yeah. Like the way how I would envision using an Australian stablecoin is for the business. We accept payment in crypto.
Yeah.
And we often accept it in stables, so we prefer that.
Yeah.
But we have to, tell them USDC or USDT on one or two chains.
Yep.
But yeah, we always get stuffed over sometimes if we don't tell them
on the FX rate.
Yeah, on the FX rate.
Yeah.
So that's where I see okay, we can now accept a Aussie stablecoin.
Yeah, but then if they have to go buy an Aussie stablecoin,
they're gonna from a client perspective, they're gonna have to swap their crypto into.
Yeah. So AUDF isn't a retail facing stablecoin. It is for wholesale, for businesses. So you could use it. You know, you get the USDC, you can just convert it. So you don't have that FX risk. That's the main purpose as a payments thing. And then, you know, you can off-ramp it through a black sheep.
Yeah, right.
And convert it 1-to-1 to AUD whenever you want. That's whether you want to take it off first party into your bank or pay somebody or whatever. It's there to be used as a payment FX tool, maybe not directly from the client because everyone just has USDC, USDT, but you can use it for whatever you want inside that wholesale environment.
Do you reckon people will use it for DeFi? Like they'll lend on Aave instead of lending USDC.
They might. There is a lot of on-chain FX sort of stuff going on. So like Circle's got some stuff going on where they're bringing together them, you know, various stable coins where it's FX is done through a DEX environment where there's liquidity, you know, for AUDF and Brazilian real stable coin because there is one. Like you can have a direct pair for that or an indirect pair, you know, just like DeFi might go through one pool then another. It's the same thing. And the FX can be transparent, not fixed because it's just a, you know, Uniswap V3, V4 style pool. So there'll be slippage and stuff, but it gives, you know, pretty direct access for anybody to get spot FX rates that are not a ripoff.
Yeah.
But then you need that banking infrastructure to interact with the real world. And that's what Black Sheep does, is that interaction as well as the supporting FX.
Yeah. So where do you see the future of stablecoins then? Like, will it eventually become invisible infrastructure that everyone's using, but they don't realize?
Yeah, probably. This is the same sort of prediction that we had for wallets, and I think it's still coming along where you've got businesses like Privy, you know, embedded wallets and MCP sort of style wallets that it's just social sign-on, passkey based. It's sort of becoming more and more common. So the days of storing your passkey, your seed phrase, you know, on a piece of engraved metal in your roof, like it's just not gonna. That was never going to be long term, and we all knew that. We all knew that was nonsense, but it was required at the time, and now we've got solutions for that, which is good. Which means more people are going to use wallets, as in blockchain, crypto wallets. Whether they're going to know they're using those is a different thing.
Yeah.
If I'm using stablecoins, you know, as part of my business, and I get like random prices not connected to the AUD USD rate, makes it very hard for me as a business to justify doing that. If I can transact at size and do all sorts of things, then suddenly holding balances in USDC, USDT makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So people will be using this technology, but they're not going to, you know, be knowing it and signing transactions and stuff. It's going to be sort of much more of a UI layer on it. And banks are, you know, building that tech as well. Like they see that as the future of certain parts. Is it going to, you know, destroy the SWIFT network? No, it's not. It's still going to be there.
No, Ripple's going to do that.
Yes. Well, you know, Ripple and Circle, we like Ripple's pivoted interestingly, and they do a lot of cross-border payments as well. Like they're one of our potential service providers as our Circle. You know, the Circle Payment Network, the Ripple, I don't know what it's called, not the Ripple Ledger.
XRP Ledger.
Oh, not the XRP Ledger. There's also the Ripple bit, which is the payments bit. And they accept actually not just stablecoins on Ripple. They accept stablecoins on other networks. So they're taking the same bet we are, where I'm not just like, this is the best stablecoin. I think Tether's the future. Like, I don't care what the future is. Mate, if Tether goes down, there's a new one tomorrow. As long as there's liquidity, we can support it.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
I saw on your website you've got at the bottom of the homepage, coming soon. You've got all the jurisdictions that you support, all the currencies that you support.
Yep.
And coming soon is Africa.
Yes.
So, like, why Africa? Is this like a big opportunity there to?
Yeah.
They're
Africa.
going to be big stablecoin.
Yeah. They don't like their currencies. Yeah. Like they don't really want to hold Nigerian Naira.
No.
They don't. They've got too many central banks. Hyperinflation, you know, you can get billions of Zimbabwe dollars or whatever it is. It's not a well put together financial system. And that's been the case for a long time.
So you're not going is Black Sheep entering those jurisdictions, is that just to give them access to US dollar stablecoins, or is it more supporting their local dollar?
Well, they already want stablecoins.
Yeah.
The contractors there, the people who work there, they want to be paid in stablecoins.
Right.
Mostly because they don't want to hold their local currency for too long. So we're integrating at the moment, but initially we had to support payouts. So you can pay it's about 12 different currencies. in the region in terms of like collection, so collecting their local currency, swapping it to USDC, USDT. We're looking at that and how onerous the registration stuff is. But like Africa is sort of like how Latin America was 3, 4, 5 years ago, when they just had this economic boom and that middle class grew massively. And then they're like, what do we do? They got phones, they got, they got cars, motorbikes. And what really happened there was a big spike in gambling. There was a big spike in sort of, semi-luxury things. Yeah. Because they had money and they wanted to spend it on stuff. And Africa looks like that. It's not destitute like, 5, 10, 20 years ago it was portrayed and was, probably correct. But there is a lot more advanced economic stuff going on there. A lot of the AI training is happening from Africa.
Really?
Like a lot of engineers there, they're skilling up, they're getting paid more and more and more. There's a lot of work happening there and it's building this wealth. And I think it'll get to the same point. Not all of Africa, but certain countries will actually become relatively wealthy, not just from their resources, but actually just because they're creating more and more product and their citizens are getting wealthier. But they still want stablecoins. They want to be paid in stablecoins. They want to deal in them. It's very normal to be doing that.
Yep.
So servicing them as a market is definitely one thing that we're looking at a lot. Very keen to do.
Yeah. So yeah, how many people do work on Black Sheep? You've got your law firm, obviously Cadena. That's a full-time job. How do you juggle a law firm and a fintech company?
So you work 2 full-time jobs.
But you've also got a family as well.
Yeah.
You've got kids. You've got
Well, it's all the support stuff. So in the business, I've got operations guys that streamline everything because I'm not picking up the phone to every single inquiry anymore. I can't do that. I need to be more efficient with my time. At home, my fiance, she supports me a lot with the kids and everything. And she actually also works in the business as well, in the operations side. In the Black Sheep team, again, it's having people doing functions.
Yeah,
it's not just solo founder Harrison doing everything because that's not realistic. So the difference is if I had no other income stream, I would have to do everything in Black Sheep myself because I can't pay people to help. But because I've got business which generates revenue, I can then deploy that in this other business. I can't work in both 100% because I can't do 80 hours, 100 hours a week. Not for long, at least. Not very healthy. So it's about leveraging, people's abilities and skills.
Yep.
And saying to yourself, I'm not the best at everything.
Yeah.
And how does running a fintech startup compare to running a law firm?
Way more frustrating. way more frustrating just because the licensing is super vague and complicated. Getting the right people is very different. Like I already know there's not that many tax lawyers. I know where I need to look generally. I've got specialist recruiters that just do tax lawyers. Finding people in payments business is very different because there's lots of people and it's like a lot of people don't really know what they're talking about. So it's always very difficult to find people. I pretty much exclusively have hired in Black Sheep through direct referrals. Advertising to the market and going through a process that's very time intensive, whereas a personalized referral of I know what you're doing, this person will be a great fit, has been fantastic experience. That's the best way, I think. All recruiters are a shortcut, which we use in the law firm, definitely.
To finish, just a quick game of rapid fire. So to say the first thing that comes to your mind as I go through the list.
Okay. Is it going to upset people? Probably will.
We can always cut it out.
Yeah. No, it shouldn't.
No, leave it in.
There's nothing controversial in here. All right. Best jurisdiction for crypto founders?
Singapore.
Fastest way to lose money in crypto?
Leverage.
NFTs?
Right click. Save. It's 2 words.
3, mate.
Is it? There's a dash in one.
You can say more than one word.
Okay, all right.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. Yeah, right click save, yeah. That was so funny. Back in the day.
Michael Saylor.
Free debt. Because they're convertible notes, mate. It's pretty much just free debt. Convert to stock. Crazy. I don't want to say the P word, but if it goes up, everyone makes money. If it goes down, it's going to be difficult time for MicroStrategy.
Alt season.
I miss it.
Don't we all?
Yeah, it's coming again, apparently.
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Sam Bankman-Fried. I like that one.
Nice.
I like that one.
Clever.
Also, excellent investor, apparently, with his portfolio up like 50,000%.
Yeah.
Too bad the liquidators sold it.
Do you reckon he would have passed on those returns to people he borrowed it from?
I reckon he would have, because the whole game was, take the money and delay it and make. It's embezzlement.
Yeah.
And you make all the money, you give it back. But if you don't make the money back, then you go to jail, and that's what happened. So
yeah.
He didn't make it back fast enough.
Yeah.
And CZ also kind of rucked him, which was pretty wild.
The ATO.
I hope the ATO aren't watching. I would say that they're missing out. They're missing out on just understanding things, intellectual rigor, engagement. Which is disappointing.
Mm.
Residency tests.
You've got to legitimately move.
Yep. Finally, Bitcoin or Ethereum?
I'm an Ether man myself.
So are we.
Doesn't mean I think it's going to go up forever, Like Bitcoin's got the speculative asset, but I don't know. Ether's like the public computer for the world, which is pretty cool. Even now, it's pretty cool.
Cool.
Well, I think that's about it.
Enough yapping from me.
Yeah. No, well, thanks again for coming on. It was really good to
gents.
hear all your insights. It's always good to chat and catch up and
Yeah.
obviously do business together as well. As our businesses are quite complementary. But
I love accountants,
we love
especially you guys.
you're the best crypto tax lawyer there is.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you heard that here, guys.
But yeah, no, thanks heaps, Harrison, and we'll have to have you on again sometime.
Love to.
Cool.
Thank you, gentlemen.